What's up, everybody? This is D from Brooklyn with my Sunday swim, and I know what you guys have been saying. D, have you just gone freshwater? Everybody's been asking me, have you switched over to freshwater? Have you done this? And the answer is no, homie. I've always kept a variety of tanks: saltwater, freshwater, planted tanks, nano tanks. You can see I got tanks over there. I'm breeding some rare species that I'll give you guys a heads up on at another time. I like betas, I like ponds, I like all things fish. But the answer is no, I have not switched over to freshwater. I've always been a jack of all trades, and that's what I think is the great thing about the hobby is you are not limited to anything other than what your own imagination and hard work will allow you to do. So let me give you an update with that being said on my frag tank, or what I call my little nano universe. Now the good thing is my clownfish have been doing exceptional. These guys are definitely paired up. They chill, they swim around. I never see them fight. They've actually been kind of rubbing me crazy because they've been spreading those mushrooms. They rub them until they move. And if you look at this area right here, there were no mushrooms over here. It's actually encroaching on my Pacillipora, which I had growing underneath this pavona, and I got a little bit of annoyance because I never intentionally wanted the mushrooms in this tank, but as you can see, it's life finds a way. You move rock from one tank to the other, and I do like this particular species of purple mushroom, so it does bring some nice color to the tank. But as you can see, I'm kind of spooking them because I'm running up on the tank. But anyway, the clowns rub and rub and rub the mushrooms like as if they were in a anemone, and they get them to move where they want. Now, on the sad point is they've been actually knocked over a nice frag. Let me pick up the camera and give you a shot. Favietes, they knocked it down, which was sitting in this spot. I'm gonna have to move the camera off the tripod. They've actually pushed it out from where I had it glued, and I got up one morning and just saw my rock down here, and I'm like, well, what in the hell happened there? My rock is down there, and it has been beat the hell out of, so I'm kind of sad about that, especially seeing how the pavona has completely, let me focus, encrusted along the base of this rock. So it is encrusted all which way and form around this rock. And this is real reef rock. Those of you that just wanted to know, the real reef rock is a purple sort of injected rock with a bacteria, dry bacteria. It's offered by Real Reef, Real Reef rock. And you can tell because you don't see any of the purple. All you see is the encrustment from both the mushrooms, pavona, just all along the rock, if I can focus. So that has been taking over this area. I even have mushroom that they pushed off from here, and now it's on the front of the front of the rock. So this tank is just finding a life of its own. And the corals that don't win the battle become rock. They just become this. If I can focus, come on, let's focus. There we go. They just become skeletons, in which I'll probably drop them there and become remnants of what could have been. Now I have increasingly high levels of alkalinity, so you can see some tissue recession in the hard coral, the SPS corals. So that's probably responsible for the death of this baby there. My alkalinity is probably like 12 or 13. It's really high. I don't have a probe on this tank. I have to test it manually, and when you stop testing, guess what? Things die. So I tested with my Red Sea alkalinity kit here, as well as the pH, which was also high. So I'll be doing probably a 30% water change a little later, just to kind of balance that out and get it under control. And another thing I gotta say is the carbocalcium by Tropic Marin. Tropic Marin, this stuff is excellent. It has done an excellent job with just the health of the coral. I've had to do nothing. This is a 1-part dose. You don't have 2-part. This is a concentrated 1-spot like dosing solution, and it has actually really kept my tank running. So good experience with the carbocalcium. And I've cut back greatly on the waving hand zinnia because it was all the way reaching out there and stinging stuff. And as you can see down here, it reaches because I have my cease my swirling power head, which is really quiet. For those of you that keep saying that they have noise from theirs, I pretty much clean it. I have to clean it now, which is why it's not swirling. I have to take that off and clean it, so I'll do that later, but it's really quiet. And the tank's doing really good. Frog spawn. I'm thinking about cutting a piece of this frog spawn and probably moving it or getting another hammer. I'll probably get a hammer coral to put in that far corner. It's just something that has to be tolerant of the zinnia, because I cut a large chunk of that and moved it to the cube. And you can see in the cube, it is done excellent. The mollies and the cardinals have been chilling. They have no problem. I moved a piece of rock in there just to kind of give them some structure. The cardinals love structure, and they quickly gravitated towards that rock. So those are doing cool. And the zinnia is greatly spread on that rock. It looks really nice. It adds some motion to the tank and adds life. So other than that, the mushrooms here, anybody wants to buy a mushroom, man, I'll sell you a mushroom. I'd rather trade. I'm looking to trade. I'm not into the selling really so much. I'd like to trade a different species of mushrooms. I grow these out in my main tank. I move them here. I grow them everywhere. They are really resilient. Redactus hybrid species, really pretty. They open extremely large and the colors are very vibrant. They are low maintenance, but if you feed them, they will split. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think there's one back there somewhere. And I put basically 2 mushrooms in here, and now I have 5. Mike from Mass, he knows what I'm talking about. They are very resilient. I've kept them for probably more than 10 years. And what else did I have? I did lose my zoas. I think because the alkalinity was so high, I really kind of peeved off because I had excellent coloration in some Spider-Man zoas. I really upset. They basically fell off the rock. So I got to do that water change and kind of stop dosing so much. That's the problem with dosing. Those of you that are out there dosing and not testing, no good. You have to dose and test. You can't just dose for free. Let's talk about the fish. We talked about the clowns. Hey there. Talked about the clowns. Let's talk about my royal gamma. I love this guy. Very inquisitive. He used to dart out every time I tried to film. Now he kind of comes into the picture every time I hit the camera. He kind of looks like he's smiling at me all the time. But you're not eating those bristleworms, so I'm not happy about that. I thought you would at least keep him under control of bristleworms. I have my clear cave goby, which is his favorite spot. Let me zoom in. This dude is super cool. He's a fish you don't see often, and I'm really into the odd fish or more rare species that you don't just see all the time. This dude is really cool once you get to know him. Once I feed the tank, he comes into one spot, and it is that egg crate right there. He sits there predominantly all day. Let's talk about my cleaner shrimp. Cleaner shrimp, this dude is super cool. His whiskers, let me get him in focus. His whiskers stretch along half the tank. I mean, they are magnificent. He used to hide in the little cut there underneath the zinnia and the frog spawn, but now my peppermint shrimp, which is also super size, has called that home, and I have not seen any aptasia in a while, so I'm happy about that. I did think I had 3 peppermint shrimp. This one sits in the front. The other one is usually in that corner there in a rock spot that I can't get to. But since this guy moved over here, they found a happy place and they're both living peacefully, with this dude living front and center where I can film him all the time. So if you want to see some good pictures of this guy, check out my Instagram page where I do all the aquarium photography. I'm trying to get my aquarium photo on, so it helps when you can focus. And it helps when you have models willing to take pictures. And that is a wrap. Keeping it short, 10 minutes. My spiny urchin is in the cut there way in the back. You really can't see him because he goes all the way back there, but he hasn't been knocking anything around. He's getting kind of old. I'm not sure how long these dudes live, but he's been a model citizen and loving life. So with that being said, that is everybody there. Keeping my simple system running. Reef Octopus Nano Skimmer, which pulls the hell out of Skimmate, does a great job, fits in this little all-in-one that I built. I built that myself. There is no complex equipment. I have a titanium heater and a Via Aqua pump, which this could use a good clean out, which is probably a good time to do the water change. Mat and floss, which I use for capturing the debris. Pothos growing in salt. Can you believe that? That is it. Clean and simple. Quiet. You don't hear nothing from this tank. You hear more from the cube than you hear from this tank. Nice and quiet. Mat and filter. So, yes, people, if you're disciplined, look at this. I moved this. I'm getting Skimmate coming over the edge. Think it's time to clean the tank. But you can do it if you're disciplined. People often ask me, oh, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? What should I do? First step, get you a book setting up your first marine tank. It's important to understand the science. Understand the science before you jump anything. You don't buy a Maserati before you get a driver's license. That's why they always tell people, if you want your first car to be a Ferrari, more power to you. How long you keep it is on you. But do your research. Do your homework. Put a little work into it. You want a good result? You got to get good work in. So this is D, love and life, love, peace, and hair grease. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers. Happy Father's Day for all you mothers pulling double duty. That's right, the single parents. Yes, that do both. Happy Everything Day. Love, peace, and hair grease. I'm out. This is me. This is D. 1, 2, 3. See ya.